Okay, we're learning now a new sugya. Hey, Howard, we're learning a new sugya on page 76, and in the our scroll will be 76b2. A very interesting sugya. We're not going to get as far as koich, which is basically indirect. If something falls on someone from something that you've caused to fall, it's not grama, but it's a koach kocho. Like if you throw a brick into the tree and the brick knocks the dates and the dates falls down on someone. So it's not directly coming from your strength; it's coming from your strength koach kocho. So I think we tackle these ideas in this sugya, not today, but this is I think from this Mishnah. But in this Mishnah, where we moved on from Elu Nisrafim, so to say, the people that are punished by burning, which was a very complicated sugya, and now we're going for Elu Hanehargin. These are the people that get killed, and Hereg is via a sword. So the people that get killed by beheading. And who is that? The Mishnah says, we're holding the Mishnah again, Ein Vav Omid Beis, 76b2. So ve'elo anahargin haritzeach, a person who is a ritzeach, a killer, a murderer. So a murderer gets his punishment, or her punishment for that matter, is by sword. Anshe ir nidachas, and people that are from a city that's ir nidachas. Ir nidachas is a city where the city is pushed by instigators to serve idols. So the whole city gets destroyed, killed by sword, and all their possessions are forbidden and burnt, etc. So in Ir Nidachas, which by the way never happened in history, but the punishment in theory for Ir Nidachas is a city that gets killed by sword. Okay, so now the question is, what's considered a Rotzeach? What's considered a murderer? So the Mishnah continues. Hey Bruce, we're just starting 76b2. We're going now, we moved on from the punishment of burning to the punishment of beheading. A very interesting sugya. So I'm just going to start the mission again. Ve'elo hanehargin, these are the people who get killed by sword, or etzech, or murderer, v'anshe ir nidachas, and people from a city that the whole city serves idols. So that special punishment means, unlike an individual or individuals that serve idols, here the city they themselves were pushed by others who instigated them. So the punishment is the sword. Now, according to all opinions, the sword is not from the top four. From the top of the four death penalties. I mean, the argument we had in a few months ago was the most severe one is either burning or stoning. The conventional opinion is stoning. And then there's an opinion which is the lightest one is a choking or beheading. Okay. So a ritzeach, a person who kills. So the question is, what is a ritzeach? Means what is considered a ritzeach? A person who kills someone that gets killed by the bezdin. You have to remember something. Not every person, the Rambam brings down, not every person who doesn't get killed directly by the bezdin through the death sentence is just walking around free. There's what's called misa midei shamayim, and even bezdin has a method of killing someone not from the four punishments. There's another method of killing someone, which is basically they lock the person in a confined space, starve him, and then he eats some sort of food, and he dies from the food, like the grains or the barley causes eating on an empty stomach. But it's not like it. But it's not that.
It's like after the Shoah when soldiers gave people chocolate bars and they hadn't had sugar in years, killed them. I
Yeah,
assume.
something along those lines. Something along those lines. And the Bezdin, you would use that in a case where it means they used it according to there's no official Torah rule about that. But when the Bezdin saw the need, this person is, always looking for the loopholes to kill someone, via hiring a hitman or hitwoman. So the Bezdin isn't blind. So they may not get the sword, but they'll get something else. So, here we're talking about the punishment of the four deaths. So, what is a ritzeach? Ritzeach, he says like this: Shehikas re'eyu be'even. If you take a stone and you smash it against your, it's interesting thing. The Torah, whenever the Torah talks about interactions between people in fighting or in killing or in damages, or stealing, it's always re'eyu, it's your friend. It's re'eyu. It means you hit your friend, still calls him your friend. Be'evan, with a stone, or be'barzel, or with a piece of metal. Now the barzel piece of metal is not piercing the person. It's like a metal bar. So you're hitting the.
Just to confirm here, that's just a practice of wording. They're not saying that the law would be different if it was an enemy or someone you disliked.
No, but there is actually interesting you say that. There is cases if the Torah wants to see if you didn't like the guy ever. So
Right, meaning there might be more than a motive. If it's a friend, it's just an accident.
Yeah, or an accident, or whatever. It's a moment. But I'm saying if it's a person that's an enemy, the Torah addresses the enemy, where then we're suspicious of non-conventional methods of killing. So he said, it means like causing someone's death. So, but here we're talking about direct impact. We're talking about stone. Barzel is you hit the person with the metal pole. Okay, what about v'kovish alav l'teichamayim? He adds it with a vav. You push someone into the water and hold their head down, right, until they drown. Or you hold someone into the fire that the person can't get out. It means the person, in theory, you're not killing the person because the person should be able to climb out of the water, but you're preventing the person from climbing out of the water, climbing out of the fire. And you understand, what's it mean climbing out of the fire? If someone's house is on fire, I mean, this is insane, but we've went through this in October 7th. There's people who were burnt, who are not able to get out. So if you're holding someone into the fire, that's murder. And because of the person of you holding the person back, that person, he or she can't get out. Umeis, and because of that, the person dies. Chayiv, you also consider it a murder. What happens if you push the person into the water? Right, you're walking down the dock in Lake Washington, and you push the person into the water, or you push a person into the fire. And the person could get out, but doesn't get out. Umeis and dies, potter. Then you don't get you don't get the sword. It means you caused it by pushing the person in the water, but the person should have climbed out and didn't climb out. So then you're potter. Shisabai, this is an interesting one. Shisabai sakelev, you send your dog after someone. What is it called when you have a wild, if you have wild dogs, you send the dog after someone to bite them or hurt them or kill them. Shisabai sanachesh, you send a snake. The difference between a dog and a snake is really a poisonous animal, and you send it against the person. Potter, that's not considered murder as far, again, it doesn't mean you're walking around the streets free, but it does not murder as far as it goes to get the sword. What we're going to learn about over here is the concept of grama. Grama is we're going to learn a lot of fascinating ideas, and maybe Bruce, you're going to be able to help us out a bit how it works with conventional laws now. But there's a few ideas that we're going to learn about in this sugya. One is grama, cause, means you cause it to happen. You didn't actually kill the person. Like pushing the person into the water, you're causing, but really there the person could have gotten out, or you even make a scenario where the person eventually dies directly from what you've done, but it doesn't happen right now. Starvation, freezing, etc. Okay, so starvation, right? Because the first day you're not going to die right away, but if you starve someone for 3 days, then eventually they'll die. So also the Torah does not look at it as direct murder if you send your dog or your snake. Shisa b'ayis hanachash pater. Hishich b'ayis hanachash. What happens? You take a snake, a rattlesnake, you hold a snake, and you put it onto the person. While you're holding it, then the snake bites the person. So the snake does the killing, but you didn't open the cage of the snake and send it at the person. You literally took the snake and put it on the person while you're holding it. So Rabbi Yehuda considers that an active murder, and the Chacham say no. I just want to learn the Rashi's, because Rashi is going to define what it means about the holding a person in the water. Rashi says kavash means you take your friend's head, and you hold him into the water. The person cannot get free to get out of the water, even if it doesn't mean you have to push them into the water and hold their head down. If you take a person's head and stick it into a bowl of water until the person drowns, that's also murder. So then that's considered murder. Shisa, which means you send the animal against the dog or the snake. What about shehishich? Hishich is the argument between Rabbi Yehuda and the rabbis. You take the snake, you hold the snake in your hand. By licha, you walk over to the other person. And you put, and the snake bites him while you're holding him. You put him on the person. So then it's a pluk to the Rameir Rabbanim Mefarish Gemara. The Gemara will explain this argument. Okay. So we have over here what cases are considered patur, are not considered an act of murder that causes that the person should get away, that should get this sword. Is in a case one we said is you put the person in the water and the person could climb out and does not and dies, but you caused. I mean, had the person never been pushed in the water, the person would be fine. You pushed him in the water. He should have just climbed out. He didn't. And the second one is where you put your animals to go hurt this person. If anyone, I didn't learn I did a Gemara Rashi and my Hebrew Mefarshim. I didn't read the art scroll, and I didn't, obviously, Ariel, you have the Steinsalz. If anyone has anything to add that you feel is something you want to share with the class, please do. Okay. Shmuel says, we're learning the Gemara now, page 76b3. Shmuel says, Mipnei ma. So what's the verse? The verse by metal is where's the hay go for? Yeah, later we're going to learn Shuki about your question of Ava when a person has hate. But the verse in 26 in footnote 26 on the art scroll, it quotes the verse of a person using an item to kill someone. So it says, "V'im v'chli barzel hika v'yamas ritzeachu mois yumas." It says if he struck him with an iron and he killed him, then he gets put to death. V'im be'evan, it says, what about it with a stone? Ivim be'evan yad ashar yumas ba hika v'yamas ritzeach hu mois yumas haritzeach. Or if with a handheld stone. By which one could die means you take a stone that you could kill someone with it in a handheld stone. So the Shmuel asks, why do we have the verse? We don't say handheld by metal. We only say handheld by a stone. What does it mean handheld? It's like a baseball bat, which you're using your hand and the item that you're using together with your hand could cause a death. We're going to learn soon that if you kill someone with something that doesn't have kedei lahamis, it's not regular. If you were to throw a pack of chips at someone, if some way or another that caused the person to die, a pack of chips doesn't have the weight or the strength or the power to kill someone. If it caused someone to lose their balance and they fell off, it's not considered murder. Again, it doesn't mean you're just walking around the streets free, but it's not. You have to be able to have something that could have killed someone. So here he said,
the three pasuk, the three psukim in order. One says Bichli Barzel, the next one says Be'im Be'evan Yad, and the next one says O Bichli Eitz Yad. So in the case of stone and wood, it says the hand.
Yes.
Why,
yes.
But not for the case of iron.
Not for the metal. So we're going to learn that the difference in metal is that metal doesn't have to. Metal could be anything because metal is sharp, and it could pierce an internal organ. Right? If you take a bullet is you could.
So does that mean here that when it says barzel, it's not explicitly saying iron; it's saying any object of metal?
Well, a metal that could pierce a person, something that's sharp. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, if a bullet, because one of the conditions we're going to learn is it has to be very sharp. A bullet isn't necessarily sharp, right? I mean, it could be. It's not sharp. It's not knife sharp. It has comes in.
Neither is a steel rod, right? I mean, if you hit someone with a blunt object, that causes trauma.
So blunt object, it has to have enough of a. I mean, if you hit someone with a tiny, if you take a knitting a knitting needle, which is made out of metal, and you don't pierce the person, but you hit the person as if you were hitting him with the baseball bat in some way or another that caused the person to die. Everyone knows that a knitting needle that can't kill someone. It's not an item that can kill someone. You pierce someone with it.
I have a note that says if one strikes another with an iron instrument and it dies, the court assesses whether or not an iron instrument of that size is normally capable of causing death.
Exactly. So it's like I'm saying, like someone who a knitting needle is not. But if you pierce someone, something else. I'm not sure if a bullet kills someone because of the strength of the bullet. I mean, if because of the gun. It means that the gunpowder pushes the bullet so fast that it pierces through the person. I'm not sure if that's considered like a knife or needle, so to say. Even a needle could kill someone. It's a needle, or if it's considered a blunt object, it's just used in a different manner.
So the same note here doesn't have any distinction. It just says, even if it's very small and it pierces them and they die, then you're chayav.
Yeah, but at the end, I think the Gemara is going to say, we're going to learn in a second, the Gemara says it's about the sharpness of it. And I'm not sure the bullet doesn't kill someone because it's sharp. It kills someone because of the power of the gun. I'm not sure. I have to check. Maybe someone has a footnote.
And I could sit here and argue physics of sharpness for a long time, but I think we're going to skip that, right, Shuki?
Yeah.
100%.
All right, so let's go back to the Talmud. So the Gemara is like this. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, why don't we say the hand on the metal? Because a barzel, if used in a sharp way, could kill even if it's a tiny needle. It doesn't have to be a size of killing, like a stone that has to be held in a hand. It has to be, if you take a little pebble and kill someone with it, it's not, and you hit someone and the person dies, it's because maybe whatever is of being frail or whatever the reason is. I mean, there's a concept that does happen where a person could strike someone in a way that had no intention to kill the person, that kills the person just because of other reasons that caused it to happen. But you caused the actual death, but there was other variables involved that why such a kind of slight item hurt the person to the extent to kill them. So Amar Shmuel Pneima or hurt. Even the smallest amount could kill someone. We learned. Rabbi says, it's well known by the person, by God, who uttered, and the world came into being. That the barzel, a metal, could kill, even the smallest piece of metal could kill someone through a puncture. The fikach not the Torah boy shear. Therefore, the Torah doesn't say there's no shear. A stone has to have a shear. It has to have a shear yad. If you take a small branch and strike someone with it and the person dies, it's not something that would kill someone. A baseball bat can. So, but God knows that metal. A person can say, "Well, God says something is heavy. It's not a heavy piece of metal. It's a tiny knitting needle." Yeah, but if you use the knitting needle in the right way, you could kill someone. So meaning God, it's known by God. Not in the Torah by shear. And the Gemara says, mili. When is that? Mili de barze mivraz. So barze mivraz means where it pierces the victim in a vital organ. But again, if you take a knitting and you hit someone on the hand with it, and for some reason the person dies, that's not considered. It has to have kidei lahamis. Okay. There's a Tosfos. There seems to be an argument with Tosfos and Rashi. Rashi says, I'm going to learn about. Rashi says, "Lo nama yad bebarzel." It's like Shuki quoted, "Commotion nemer be'even yad be'even eitz b'kli eitz yad." It says the handheld stone and the handheld piece of wood. Mashim sheishba mole achiza. Something's properly held. The beinin shiur. It has to be a size of something that could kill someone. It has to be an article that could kill someone. Avar bebarzel. When it comes to metal, ksiv. With the metal, it doesn't say that it's a piece of metal that the size of it could kill a person. Why? So it says, Rashi says, how does a piece of metal kill? Even the smallest piece of metal could kill someone. If you pierce a person's windpipe or into the heart, you will kill the person, even if it's a small piece. And Rashi continues on the Gemara's answers. The barze mivraz says avali ko, but Rashi says avali ko or if you don't pierce the person, you just hit the person. So then metal is like a piece of wood. It has to have enough. It has to be a kind of derchaka shir bari, then it has to be a size that could kill someone. But Tosfos says, from Tosfos it seems, Tosfos says that if the problem is piercing, that you could pierce the veshet, the windpipe, or pierce the heart. So he says even kites also. Why does it say metal? Even if a person were to take a splinter of wood, what's a kite? A kite is a splinter of wood, and stab a person with it, it's also sharp. So then it should be the same thing. So he says,
Is a coat a splinter of wood or a thorn?
I thought a coat is a thorn. I mean, what is a thorn? A thorn is a splinter of wood. No, but okay, a sharp piece of non-metal object, basically.
No, I mean, there's a big difference between that and like a broom handle that you snap in half and stab someone with.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're both splinters of wood.
Yeah.
One is a more complex shape that's designed.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, yeah. If you make a spear out of wood and you pierce someone, that's obviously a weapon. I'm talking. A kite is a small splinter that you could, but if used right, it could also pierce. So it seems that he quotes the Gemara that it's not. I got the Gemara right over here. Yeah, where is it? Yivamas? The answer of the Gemara is that it has to be the kind of sharpness that's regularly used to pierce, not something like a quoit. So you're right. If it was a broken broom that it was sharp, that's a weapon. Okay. So either way, these are all things that could kill someone. A bullet, I don't know if a bullet falls under a sharp piece of metal or like a broom, just that it's
add even more complexity, a reinforced wooden bullet.
No, I'm saying also, like, for instance, if someone shoots a BB at someone and it kills them, I don't even know, according to American law, if you would be considered it's a first-degree murder, because a BB does, could hurt someone, but typically wouldn't kill someone. If you take a BB gun, I don't know, Bruce, if you take a BB gun and you kill someone with it without the intention of killing someone, it's a BB gun. Is it considered first-degree murder like a regular gun?
No, if there's no intention, it's not first-degree murder. It probably would be manslaughter.
Because the weapon to kill someone. But if you took a gun, you couldn't say that. Everyone knows if you shoot someone with a gun, it would kill them.
Yeah, I was going to say the question here really is whether or not you can get somebody off of murder by saying that the weapon is not one that would normally be used in a murder. And otherwise, you might turn it into manslaughter.
Yeah, I mean, this is back to the game clue, right? All right. So now we go to the next one. So that's the idea. So I have to check again what Tosfos answers. The Barzeh Mizraf Zarif. Mizraf Zarif is here it says the Barzeh Mivraz. It pierces. The Zarif, I think he means it's very sharp. Maybe and it's hard and sharp. I have to see what that words mean. Okay, let's continue. He pushes the person into water. You hold the person into water. Because Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalan and Sefer Rabusa Kamashmalan. Both the first part of the Mishnah, which says if you push a person, that if you hold a person into the water, that you're considered a murderer. And the second part of the Mishnah that says that if you push someone in and that person can get out and doesn't, it's not considered murder. Let's call it first-degree murder. So Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalan, the Reisha is coming to teach us something additional. The Sefer Rabusa Kamashmalan, the Sefer is coming to teach us something additional. Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalan, the Reisha is coming to teach us that what? The Afagav the Lav Ihu Dochvoy means the wording says that he holds him into the water. It's not so much that you push him into the water. So here the Reisha is coming to teach us if a person's swimming, so it means the person went into the pool themselves. And when the person comes up from this pool, you grab that person's head and hold him into the water. So you didn't push the person into the water. So you say it, the Mishnah says, I push the person. It doesn't say I push the person in the water. It says you're holding the person down. And therefore, you're causing the death. The person's allowed to go into the water. No one says you're not allowed to go into the water. You're allowed to go into the water. You you held the person from getting out of the water. So Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalan, Alpha Gag Delav Iu Dachva, even if you didn't push him into the water. The person went swimming or fell, whatever. Even then, you caused the person to not be able to get out of the water. And because of that, the person dies. Obviously, you have to remember, in order to get killed by Bezdin, there's witnesses have to be there. It's very complex. When the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon talked about how rare it was for the Bezdin to actually use the death penalty, is because it's not like in America where you would say, I witnessed a murder. That's not enough. The witnesses have to witness, and there has to be warning, and the warning has to be within the time. If you tell a person out of a certain time frame, don't do that, and they do it, and the warning kind of wore off, that's not called warning. The warning has to be like literally someone standing by the pool and say, get your hand off the person's head. You are killing the person. And if you don't stop it, the Bezdin's going to kill you. I mean, there's a whole line of, read the person the right, so to say, for the Bezdin to kill you. But like I said, the Bezdin, I mean, not that the person walks off scot-free, just the actual death has to happen with witnesses and warning. So here we're talking.
Doesn't the person making the warning also have to know the halacha too?
Yeah, you have to, and not only that, the person has to acknowledge. The person, the murderer has to say, I know, and I'm still going to do it. Means if he doesn't acknowledge, we don't know if he understood the warning, that's also a question. So the person has to acknowledge the warning. It's very complicated. That's why this says that the Bezdin very rarely killed. And at the end of the second base of Mikdash, it got so crazy. You have to remember, what was the end of the second base of Mikdash? It was a civil war. There was a civil war in Israel, right? In Eretz Yisrael, between the Zealots and the pacifists, or Beis Shammai was, the house of Shammai was part of the Zealots, and there was a lot of murder going on. They had to stop the Bezdin because then it got out of control. So here it says, so the Reisha Rabusa Kamashman, Afagav Lav Iudacho, even if you didn't push the person in, even then the person can't get out. Umeis, and because you're holding them, the person dies. Chai. Sefer Rabusa, what's the Sefer coming to teach us? That what is a case where if the person can get out, but doesn't get out, that Sefer Rabusa Kamashmal and Afgag the Dovchvoy, even if you push the person in, even the because the person could get out, means the person would have never been in the water, but you push the person into the water, you push the person into the bonfire, right? Okay, fine, you could jump out, but the person didn't jump up, just stood there. So Alphagaz, and we're going to learn it's not so simple. It's not just even if you take away a ladder, all these kind of things. But Alphagaz, even if you didn't push him, sorry, Alphagaz Seif Kamashman, Alphagaz the Dachvo, even though you pushed him, because the person could have gotten out and doesn't, Umeis Potter. So he says, how do we know Kavish is a way of killing? Now we're going to bring down the pasuk that because you're not using anything, you're just holding the person in. So how do we know that kavish is a kind of way of killing? So Shmuel Damakra, the pasuk says, we're going to read the pasuk on the side by Midbar. Oiva means when you're angry with hate. Hiko biyada v'yamas mois yumas hamaka retzeachu goyel hadam yamis as retzeach v'pigoy boy. That you're a murderer, and therefore the avengers can kill you. We know the laws of avenging. We haven't gotten to that yet, but the Torah has the laws of vengeance, meaning to say that a vengeance, you have the family. The Gol Adam is the family of the person who's been murdered, has a mitzvah to kill the person. That's why the person would have to run to the Orei Mikla, to the city of refuge. Only in the city of refuge could they find. Even if a person kills by mistake, the Gol Adam can take vengeance and kill them. Only in the city of refuge is where you are protected. So he said, the pasuk says, what's Ava? Ava means, what's the Torah telling us be'eva? Or an amenity. What's that? What is that coming to add? So it says it's coming to add, the Rava says a mitzamsem. It's coming to serve to include a case of confining. Mitzamsem means you hold a person in this confined space, or you hold a person in water. So mitzamsem is like holding a person in water or holding a person in fire. You're limiting their ability to get out of harm, and you put them there. So then you are considered a murderer. The Gemara says this: Ahu Gavra, there was a person who confined the mitzamtzema lechayus dechavre b'shimsha umeisa. He confined his fellow's animals. I mean, this is a case of damages. It's not murder. It's a case of damages, where let's say, I don't know, whatever the rule is. Let's say that the animals, if it's too hot, the animals go into the barn, right? And you took someone's animal and you tied them to the post in 150 degrees, right, in 130 degrees in the desert, not allowing the animal to go into shade or to find water, what have you, and you caused the person caught by doing that, the animal died from sunstroke, from heat, right? So Ahu Gavra, the Mitzamas Malachayusa, he took The Chavri took an animal of his friend, B'Shimsha, and he kept him confined in the sun, Umesa, and died. Doesn't even have to be tied with the rope. If you put a person in a cage, and an animal in the cage, and don't let the animal find in a case that's not regular, and find shade, that's considered killing someone's animal. So Ravina ruled that the person is liable to pay for killing someone's animal. Ravacha bar Rav Potter, but Ravacha bar the son of Rav said that's not considered killing someone's animal. Why? You didn't kill the animal. You confined the animal to be in a space that it couldn't get out, and it died of heat. But you didn't kill it. The sun killed it, but you didn't allow it to get into shade. So here we're talking about damages. Again, we're not talking about a person. We're talking about damages. So Ravina. So what's the reason of this ruling? So the Gemara says like this: Ravina mechayev. Ravina says the person is liable to pay for the damages, meaning to refund, to reimburse his friend, so to say, for killing his animal. Kal v'chomer. He learns as a kal v'chomer. What's the kal v'chomer? Umar Ratseach, if murder, shleasa by shoygig k'mezid, that the Torah doesn't say a shogig is like a mezid. If a person kills with intent, that's considered murder. You get, and with the right warning and all, you get killed by the bezdin. A shogig, if someone kills someone by mistake, the bezdin doesn't kill you. So we have different rules for shogig, for a person who kills without intent, and a person who kills with intent. For oines kirotzen, and we don't consider someone who does it unwillingly, he's forced, like a person who does it willingly. And nevertheless, the Torah says, chayiv b'yisam etamsam, but if you cause someone to die by limiting their space of getting out of it, meaning to say you hold them into the water, right? So, and you're considered a murderer. So he says, Nezikin, we're turning the page to 77A1. So Nezikin, when it comes to damages, where the Torah doesn't, if you damage someone's animal, you can't say I did it by mistake. Okay, sorry. I mean, next time, that's not the owner's problem. Where the Torah says, Nasa Shoigi Kamezid. What's Shoigi Kamezid? Like Rashi says, Heiche the Ovid be a dime, if you kill someone with your hands. I feel you damage something with your hands. I feel yashan, right? If you go to someone's house and you're sleeping, and your hands move and you knock over the vase on the bedside table, the Torah doesn't say, "Well, I was sleeping. What do you want?" No, a person is a mu'id always, and even though you didn't do it with intent, no one's arguing that you did it with intent, but you have to pay for it. That feel yashin, even if you're sleeping, could the alpha babakama. You can learn the Gemara babakama. Petza tachas petza l'chayv al shegi kemezid. We have a special limud that teaches us that a person is obligated to pay whether it's intent or not intent. If you damage someone's things in a way that you're a mu'id, you should have. It means if you were up, you would have. Like I said, the person's always a mu'id, is always considered a person that can damage something. So therefore, you have to pay. So if in the case of murder, we separate intent and not intent. We separate by force or by will, and nevertheless, by confining someone, that's considered murder. So even more so, where the laws of damages are more severe. Because what's the proof that it's more severe? That not even without intent, you still have to reimburse the person. Even more so, that if you cause someone damage through confinement, like in the animal, you tied the animal to a space that died from the sun, you should have to reimburse 100% the person for the damages. And you should have to pay a person who confines. So that's the thinking of, who was that person? That's the thinking of Ravina. Ravina says it's obligated because he learns a kal v'chomer from damages.
Does that same thing apply on the damages idea you were saying about like knocking over a lamp in your sleep and being responsible for that? If you fall asleep and knock over a candle and it burns down the house, or if if that fire then goes, like that fire also, let's say, kills somebody in that house, would you also be liable in that same way?
Well, killing for sure not, because killing is not damages and therefore it's considered shogeg.
Right.
We're going to learn about fire. We're going to learn about certain things. For instance, there's grama, there's cause, and it has to be within the time. It depends again. Also, if the person just stood there and let his house burn down, but if no one was there, you're sleeping yourself in the house and you lit a cigarette and put it in and it burnt the ashtray and caused the house to burn down, right? That could happen. When I was a student, I once flicked a cigarette. I was smoking then. I was in New Haven. I flicked a cigarette out the window, and it didn't go out the window. It hit the drain pipe. Went into the drain, and there was leaves. It was the winter, and it caused the fire. I was responsible. It was something I did. I caused damage, even though it was no intent. I just flicked it out, but it was also definitely neglect. So either way, but in the case, yeah, I think if you're sleeping and you cause a fire, you're responsible to pay it back. If you caused the fire, like in the case of you knock over the lamp, I think so also. It's the same thing. It says even Yashin, even if you're sleeping. But it could be the fire. We'd have to examine what, how much knowledge was there and what's the scenario. I can't say 100%, but I'm assuming it would be the same thing like breaking a vase. So that's the Ravina. Ravina says it's a kal v'chomer. So what's Rabacha's reasoning for saying that you're not responsible to pay for the animal? Ravacha bar Rav poiter. Rav Mashashia. So the Mashashia said, "My time da avua da abba." What's the reason of your grandfather, meaning Rav? So he says, the Potter Amrakra Mois Yumas Hamaka Ritzeachu. It says in the verse, Mois Yumas Hamaka, if the person who should be put to death who hit Ritzeachu, he's a murderer. Ritzeachu dechayev lo b'mitzamsem nezikin lo yechayev lo mitzamsem. That the word who we've learned before that imcha who, when the Torah says who, it's a miut, and because the verse that we learned about mitzamsem from Eva. Right, that Eva means you did it with so and it says the word who comes to us that only this law of mitzamtzem of confinement, even though in theory you have a kal v'chomer like Ravina uses, but we don't apply the kal v'chomer because the law of mitzamtzem is learned from a verse that says who to come to say that only in murder does mitzamtzem, does confinement, when you confine a person to a space that causes death because of what you've the word symptom means, right? You cause a person to be confined in space, so then it's considered then you're responsible and a murderer. But when it comes to damages, there's no we can't learn a kal v'chomer because we have a miut. A miut is stronger than a kal v'chomer. It means a kal v'chomer is logic. A miut is the pasuk, and the pasuk says no. Only the din of mitzamtzem of confinement is only by murder. He says also, Rashi says, when he says Ravacha Potter, he says, he gives a reason why, not just because there's a pasuk of Reitzeachu. He also says the Grama ba'amahu the Shimsha Katle, because he says that you didn't kill. What killed the animal? What killed the animal is the sun. You caused the sun to kill this animal. How do you cause the sun to kill this animal? By not allowing the animal to leave the space, and therefore the sun was there, and the animal died from sunstroke. But the actual act of killing is done by the sun. So this is we were starting to creep into the sugya of grama. Grama is cause. You caused it to happen. You didn't do it, right? So it's not like you get off scot-free. But according to Rava, you're potter. You don't have to pay when it comes to damages. But why don't we use the kal v'chomer? Even if it's grama, why don't we use the kal v'chomer? The question is, why does Rashi have to say grama ba'omahu? Why can't Rashi say we have a pasuk? Because the pasuk would only come to, it means if mitzamtzem is an act of murder itself, so then we can't understand the pasuk who to separate it from any other act of murder. We have other acts of murder. We have a stone, we have a piece of metal, we have a piece of wood. So if confining someone, the confinement itself killed the person, and by murder, by holding a person down, really it is. The water kills him, but you're holding the person down. So he says that, but when it comes to the sun, it's grama, and therefore you want to learn it from. It's not a regular act of killing something, of damaging something, but it's a cause of damaging something. And the pasuk has a word who comes to tell us that it's only a case by murder, it's not a case by damages. My point I'm saying is that why does Rashi have to tell us that it's only grama? It should just say there's a miyut. The only place we learned that simsum is considered murder is a pasuk, and the pasuk says who, and that's by murder. Therefore, it's coming to limit that. It's coming to be mimayit. It's coming to tell us it only applies to murder. It doesn't apply to damages. So why does Rashi have to say it's grama? So the reason is because by saying it's grama means it's not conventional. And if it's not conventional, we have to have, it's a chiddush that it's considered murder at all. And because it's not, you didn't kill the person, you only held the person down. The water killed the person. You didn't allow the person to get out. The fire killed the person. You just didn't let the person to get out. When you hit someone with a stone, you killed the person with a stone. It was your force that killed the person with the stone. But in the case of holding a person down in the water or in the fire, the stone or the water or the fire killed the person. But you were mitzamtzim, you confined the person to die from the water or from the fire. So therefore, Rashi tells us that because it's not the act, you didn't kill the animal, which would cause damages. It's grama, you caused it to die, and we have a miyah to tell us that the grama is not chayiv by nezikim. It's only by murder. But we're going to see that even by murder, it's not every case of grama is considered murder. Let's go a little further. So Amakra Retzeachu, Beretzeachu the chayiv la mitzamtzim and nezikim la chayiv la mitzamtzim. So Amar Rava says, what about in a case where you don't hold a person down and the person dies from fire or from water, but you tie a person down and leave them, you lock a person in a room, right? You lock a person in the room, the person can't get out, and the person dies eventually of starvation. Is that considered murder or not? It means you literally were mitzamtzim the person, but you didn't keep the person in water or anything like that. You died the person eventually will die of starvation. The question over here is how far is the act of confining the person to the murder, right? If you lock someone in the room for 10 minutes, is that a partial act of murder? Because at those 10 minutes the person couldn't eat? Or you say, no, 10 minutes is not enough time to kill someone. Everyone could survive 10 minutes of whatever is the last 10 minutes of the person's life. The person didn't eat, and he had 10 minutes left to eat before he would die or she would die, and then you locked him for 10 minutes, right? So the question is, how close is the act that you've done to the actual death of the person? In the water, you're holding the person down. The water's starting to kill the person immediately. Starvation, the person is not starting to die immediately. The first hour of not eating, you're not dying of starvation. You're not partially dying of starvation. Eventually, if you're going to be locked in the room for a week, you're going to die of starvation. But the initial act didn't happen right away. So that's the question. I mean, the reason why I'm elaborating a bit is because we have to understand the difference between grama of the sun and grama of starvation, right? We're going to try to figure out, like, there's the sun right away starts to hurt the animal. Now, again, everyone knows if you're in Palm Springs, if you're in the desert and you run out to the store for a second and you're in 120 degrees, but right away the sun is doing something wrong. It's very short. It's not enough to kill you. But the 5 minutes being locked in the room, you're not starting to die of starvation. It's okay to not eat for 5 minutes unless it's the last 5 minutes of your life. So of the time you would die. So Rava says, what about kafis? Rava says, what about if you are kafis umeis berav potter? The person is tied down and dies of starvation. It's potter. Rava, kafis becham v'meis. If you tie a person in the sun, like the animal, you tie the person in the sun, and the person dies of sunstroke. Betsina, or you tie the person in freezing cold, right? You put a person down and you don't let them come into the house. Chayiv, then you chayiv. Why? He says, Seif cham alavai, seif tzina lavai. Oh, sorry. Chayiv, then you kill the person. Why? Because right away the sun and the cold start to kill the person. What about seif cham alavai, seif tzina lavai? What happens if you tie the person down at night, whatever, it's normal weather. But eventually the sun is going to come, and eventually when the sun does come, it will get hot and the person will die. Or eventually it will get cold. And when it gets cold, the person will die. But at this moment, it's not cold now and it's not hot now. So then Rashi says pater. Then Rava says pater, because it doesn't happen right away. Rava says another case. We're going to stop after these three cases, and then we'll go into the next sugya next week. Rava says pater. If you confine someone in front of a lion, it's not considered murder. Why? Because the lion's going to get you anyways. It means a lion is the speed and animal instinct and murder and killing instinct of a lion will get the person either way. It means you tying the person down doesn't change the fact. If the lion is within space of the person, just because you held them down, just whatever, you were a participant in some way or the other. But either way, the lion would kill you. So therefore, he says you're pater. What about in front of mosquitoes? Right? Mosquitoes, enough bites of a mosquito, you'll die. So you put it in front of a mosquito, then you're chayiv. Why are you chayiv? Because mosquitoes don't you could get away from mosquitoes. It has to be a lot of mosquitoes. It's not like a lion. So therefore, you cause the person to die from the mosquitoes. Rav Ashi says, Afilu lifnei yitushim nami pater. Rav Ashi says no. He disagrees with Rava, and he says that even by mosquitoes, then you're also not killed. Why? Hani ozli v'hani osi. So he says because that the initial mosquitoes that sting you don't kill you, and then it's like the sun that is about to come. Means eventually enough mosquito bites are going to kill you, but the first mosquitoes, the ones that kill you are the later mosquitoes. Those are the ones that come later. The ones that come later, that's not right away when you confine the person. The Rav Ashi disagrees. All these cases basically goes back to that Rashi about gromma, right? The Rashi says about Ravacha, it says the gromma ba'oma, the shim shekatle, the sun kills him. So the pasuk that teaches us that tzimtzum is chayev is rotzeachu, and that's gromma, means the water kills, the sun kills, and now there's in gromma itself where we have a pasuk that says that a person who causes someone to die through tzimtzum, through confinement, that you're considered a murderer. The Rava comes to say it's not in every case. Means according to Ravina, we learn a kal v'chomer that damages if murder, if you're considered a murderer by confinement, then even sure you're considered a person who damaged someone if you tie the animal in the sun. But go ahead.
Go ahead, finish up. I'll ask the question after.
But according to Bacha says that we have a pasuk because he says it's only gromma, it's only cause, and Rava comes to say that even gromma, it has to be that happens right away. If it eventually causes someone to die, like the sun is going to come, enough. And Rav Ashi goes even further to say that's not the first mosquito.
If you tie him up at night.
What?
If you tie him up at night with no escape, the sun
you
comes
tie
in the morning.
him up at night. Yeah, so even though they can't get out and nothing's changed really, so it should be gromma, like ritzeachu, but gromma itself has to be that you right away, it has like the starvation thing. Starvation, yes, if you tie someone, you haven't released them. So when did you kill the person? The moment you tied them. They didn't start starving until after the time a person starts to die of starvation. So that's distance, that's gromma with a distance. And Rava says that even gromma, it's not considered murder if it doesn't happen right away. Go ahead, Ariel, what would you want to ask?
My question was related to the mosquito thing.
Yeah.
With bees or wasps, if the person you tie up is allergic, and the allergy will kill them if they're stung once.
Yeah, but the first thing would kill you.
Right.
So then it's like the sun. Then you consider chayav. The question is that the thing about mosquitoes is that the mosquitoes it's a slow death. Enough mosquitoes will kill you. A few mosquitoes are not going to do anything, but if it's millions of mosquitoes, it's going to kill you.
Right. But so I mean the question is normally enough bee stings will kill you, but for this specific person, it's just one. And I mean, I'm just wondering if there's any difference in that case, right? Like if you were to tie someone who wasn't allergic up versus someone who was.
Yeah, if you were to tie someone allergic up, you knew the person was allergic, and you had warning that this person will die from one bee sting, that's murder. Even Rava would agree to that.
Okay.
I think so because you I mean if you know clearly that this person, like if you give peanuts to a person that could die from peanut allergy, and you know that you can't.
So I guess the real question then is if the first sting would have killed them, but they were stung enough times before the first sting would have killed them that it would have killed anyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think if what you're asking, I understand is right. If you take a person who fasted to the point of death, right? They have a doctor that told them if you fast 100 hours, you'll die. And they fast, okay, let me try 99 hours and I'll eat on the 100th hour. And then you lock that person up that last hour, knowing that that last hour is enough to kill the person. I don't know if Rava would say that's a case of starvation that's not death, because here your mamish right away, the person should eat right now. Starvation, the point that Rava is saying is, the idea that Rava is teaching us is that grama has to be that yes, grama causing death is considered a murderer, but the cause has to happen right away. Like holding a person in water, right away the water starts to drown the person. Holding a person in fire right away, yes, it takes a few minutes, but right away, tying a person in the sun or in the cold, yeah, 2 minutes in the cold, 2 minutes in the sun won't kill you. But right away, it starts to damage you. Over here, what Rava says is mosquitoes is not even considered. I'm not 100% clear myself why mosquitoes is different than water. A few minutes in water also won't kill you. And here he's saying that the mosquitoes that stung you initially, not the mosquitoes that kill you. The lion, okay, that makes sense. You didn't really do anything. The lion will kill the person anyways. But mosquitoes, so Rava says it's chayiv because whatever, right away he's starting to get bitten up by the mosquitoes. And Rav Ashi comes in and says even further that because the same mosquitoes didn't kill you, it's other mosquitoes, and the mosquitoes that kill you come later, then that's not considered murder. That's a chiddush Rav Ashi is saying. Because even according to Rava says as long as it starts right away, so that's considered murder. Was that what you were asking? That if the person got stung by tons of bees and then you brought that last bee that killed him, then I think that would be considered murder if you had the knowledge of that. Like for instance, in the Gemara we learn many times.
It's more of the mosquitoes will kill them over time.
Yeah.
Right. And the bees will also, in the same way as mosquitoes, kill them over time.
Yes. Mosquitoes means the same idea that bees. It means it's something that eventually enough of it will kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, I mean, I guess it's not really, I mean, it's a super niche side case of if someone was allergic, then would it change what the actual punishment was, if it was chayav or if it was just.
I think if we're going to learn soon about medicine also, that if you kill someone and the person has medicine and doesn't use the medicine, or there's medicine in the town and doesn't use the medicine, like it's not so simple. Like if a person has on them, if you put a bee to someone who has on them the insulin, or they could get the insulin, and they don't use it to save themselves, then that's also not considered murder, according to we're going to learn in the Gemara soon. But let's say in theory there's no insulin for this medicine, and the bee will kill the person. I think and one sting is enough to kill the person. I don't see how that would be any different than putting a person's head in water. Where Rava says that we have the word tzimtzum means confinement. And again, tzimtzum means grama. That's the idea of tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means is that you don't let the person get out of harm's way, and the harm will kill that person. And Rava just comes to teach us that the harm has to kill that person right away. Start to kill at least the person right away. But if there's it means because and according to Rav Ada, that Rabbi Bar Ada, that the difference would be that by animals, that even grama that starts right away, like the sun right away starts to kill the animal. That's not there's a limit to teach us that tzimtzum by animals is not considered damaging. But by people, by murder, even though we have a pasuk, it has to be right away. Rav makes a condition to the pasuk, so to say. I want to see if there's a Rashi that could give us a little more insight before we finish. Rashi says, here it says, Kapasei umei spirav. If Rava says, if you tie a person down and the person dies of starvation, so why is that not considered murder? So Rashi says, the b'shashe kafasei, because that moment when you tie the person down, ein kan davar hariga, there's nothing to kill the person. The person is just being locked down. And starvation comes eventually on its own. And gets stronger and stronger with time. Lachazman kol shav, lachazman kol shav. V'loy dami l'tzamsim b'mayim b'or ta'hardik mezuman. And it's the Rashi says it's not like putting a person in water and fire, where the thing that's going to kill them, the water or the fire is there right now. Starvation is going to come, but the starvation is not here right now. That's how Rashi learns it. The starvation is going to come. So therefore, I'm saying if a person's already starving, and he or she's holding that last minute before they could break their fast, so to say, to live. And you don't, for instance, let's give an example that's actually practical, right? We have a lot of prisoners that go on starvation diets, right? They're going to starve until you let me out. I'm going on a starvation protest. So you give every day the person food, and the person's not eating, and you have people checking medically, right? We had prisoners that die. So the doctors are being checked every day. What's going to, slowly the person's dying of starvation. And then that last meal, you don't give them. Did you kill them? Because if they would have agreed to eat that last meal, they wouldn't have died. It means they brought themselves on to the level of starvation up to that point. I'm not sure if that would be the same case that Rava would agree to, because Rava says that over there that Rav Bami Elav, the Rav comes on its own. It's strong. The thing that kills the person is available right now. He says also, Seif Chama Lavai. What's the case of the sun that wasn't there yet? Claimer, if there was no sun yet when you tie the person down. Seif Lavai, eventually the sun will come. Lavai Khan. And you can't get out because you tied him down. But Seif Lamas, and eventually will die because you tie that person down, and eventually the sun will come. Pater. Shlei Haya Harig Mizuman Hariga. It's the thing that kills the person, which is the sun, wasn't ready to kill the person yet. It wasn't there. Here Rashi says the person doesn't get off. God will kill the person. It's called Misa Midei Shemayim. But Rashi also says again, when Rashi said before that the grama ba'oma, that it's not the same grama, because this also Rashi just said before, by why is Nezikin not considered damaging the animal, because it's the grama and the sun kills. Here also the sun kills. If you tie a person up in the sun, it's considered murder. But here Rashi says that it's a different kind of grama. It's a grama because the sun is not here yet, and eventually the sun will come. So that's what Rava is coming to differentiate, that grama, in grama itself, there's two kinds of laws. There's grama you immediately cause the person to die from the water or the fire, or the sun that's out, or the cold that's there, or you tie a person down and eventually they'll starve or they'll die from the sun or the freezing. All right, let's stop here, everyone. And we'll continue this sugya that leads into from grama into koach kocho, which is not direct your strength that kills someone, but the strength that comes from something that you caused to kill someone. Laila Tov, everyone, and Shavuot Tov.
Laila Tov, Rabbi.
Laila Tov.